everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Jessica, also known as Chic Professor on Instagram, and I make videos on luxury goods, the pre-loved market, sustainable fashion, and workwear. Today's video are all about Rothys. So I'm going to be talking about the loafers, the flats, and the points. And many of you asked lots of great questions about these shoes. So I'm going to be talking about these 3 different styles, as well as sizing, washability, wearability, arch support, comfort, durability, and if they are worth the money. So let's go ahead and get started. You've probably seen commercials for these all over the place. They are very, very popular in terms of advertising. However, you probably haven't seen any in stores, and that is because there are no physical stores, at least on the East Coast. I believe there is one on the West Coast where you can actually go and try these on, but otherwise you just have to order online. So I know reviews can be really helpful in terms of that, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion about all of these different factors. First thing that people have asked are they actually machine washable? And yes, they are machine washable. You wash the inserts separately from the rest of the shoe, and you do not dry them. So you just wash them cold, do not dry them, let them air dry, otherwise they will shrink a little bit. They are made of recycled plastic bottles, so they are great in terms of sustainability. However, there is always controversy about washing recycled plastic goods because they do still emit microfibers when you are washing them. So because these are shoes and you don't wash them very often, they're definitely a great option instead of clothing that you would wash much, much more often. But these are washable, which I think is great. To me, one of the things that is nice about it being washable is that means I'm really not afraid to wear it in the rain because it just very easily air dries even when you are wearing it. So that is a really nice factor. I don't actually wash mine that often, but I do have the option if they get really dirty. In terms of the styles, there are the 3 styles that I showed before. The loafer, which is going to have a bit more foot coverage. Then you have the flat, and I really like this dip in the flat. I find that that is much more attractive than just a typical ballet flat. They all have the same sole. And then you have the point, and I have some arch supports in the points, which I will talk about in just a second. The only other style that is currently available is the sneaker, and I don't have that one, so I can't comment on it. To me, that one is a little bit less versatile. It doesn't transition as easily into work or casual wear, so it wasn't a great option for me. I do like the thicker sole, but from other reviews that I've seen, those shoes are actually a little bit less durable, and they are less expensive than the loafers, even though they have a much bigger sole, so I think that says something about the quality. There have been other styles in the past, and I'm sure others will be released in the future, such as a pointed loafer, which I think would be a really nice option if you wanted to make the loafer even a little more dressy for work. In terms of sizing and fit, I did not go true to size for any of these shoes. I know a lot of people do think some of the styles run true to size and some run a bit small, so you should size up. I found that they were much more comfortable if I sized up in all of them. I'm typically a size 5.5, and I can range from a 5 to a 6 in a lot of different shoes. Often in heels, I will wear a 5 or 5.5, rarely wear a 6, but in some flats, I will choose a 6 instead of a 5.5. So the only size that I took a 6 in were my flats. I did not take a 5.5 in any of them. The 6 is as small as I would want to go. So if you're between sizes, definitely do size up. I find that my foot is right against the back of the heel with these, and I definitely wouldn't want to go any smaller. With the loafer, I chose a 6.5, and I probably could have done a 6 in these, but I found the 6.5 to be quite comfortable, and because it has so much coverage on the foot, you really don't have to worry about your foot falling out of it, and I didn't feel like my heel was popping out of it at all, so definitely chose a 6.5 just for the comfortability of that in this style. The style that gave me the most trouble in terms of sizing was the point. So I had the point in a 6 in navy, and I'll show you a video comparing them, and these are the 6.5. I like the 6.5 better. I found that the 6 really pinched my toes. It wasn't very comfortable, and because my foot can sit back a little bit more in the 6.5, I found that that was much more comfortable for me. However, if you have more narrow feet or you have maybe shorter toes, you might find that just going up that half size, or maybe taking your true size if you don't really go between sizes, you might find that that works really well for you for the point, because the shoes themselves have flexibility, but they will not stretch out over time. They'll always come back to their original shape. I find that the 6.5 can be slightly big. I sometimes step out of them. However, if you want to add arch supports, definitely size up at least a half size in all of them, and maybe even a full size. The arch support adding really made these fit nicely. I have other arch supports that I wear in a lot of shoes. These are the Fleet Feet arch supports, and these ones were actually too big for them. I could not wear these in it because the heel was so thick. My foot didn't sink down enough for the shoe to fully wrap around my Achilles and stay on my foot. So I had to get some cheaper, less nice arch supports, but they did still provide some support and it made the sizing fit really well. If you have wide feet, I would say that you can wear these because they do stretch. However, I would say I would stick away from these because they are definitely more narrow. The flats would be a better option. They are a little bit wider feeling. However, I think that the best option would be the loafer because this is really quite flexible. You will see your foot a little bit in it, which is one of my complaints about these shoes, but it will fit, I think, the best. And I would say that the flats would be a close second. So in terms of the arch supports, you could probably guess that they don't have much. The soles are all very flexible, so they're very comfortable, but there really isn't a ton of support. So if you're used to a very flat shoe, you would be fine. It is soft, it is fairly comfortable in terms of it doesn't feel like you're walking on something that's like hard as a rock, but there aren't going to be any kind of supports for high arches, which was my biggest issue with them. And one of my biggest issues with flats in general. I often prefer my flats to have a bit of a heel. That feels better on my arch, and probably because I'm also used to wearing heels a majority of the time as well. However, if I just want a very casual, comfortable shoe, I find that the arch support is fine. It's definitely better than something like a flip-flop, but there really is not much support, so keep that in mind. And if you do desperately need support, definitely think about sizing up so you can add some kind of support. The inserts easily come out. This is what the shoe looks like on the bottom. It gives you the washing instructions, and that is where the tag information is. And then you can easily put in these very flat, see, they have really no support to them at all, arch supports, or you could add something like this in there, which does give a little bit more cushion. In terms of durability, I would say that these are very durable. They stretch, but they don't break. You can wash them. I would say if you probably wash them a ton, they wouldn't last as long as you might want them to. But in general, I find that the durability is great. I have run around in them. I've run around all around New York City in them, and they've been very comfortable and quite durable. And the rubber seems to be quite high quality and definitely keeps its shape and doesn't really deteriorate too much. And then the actual shoe itself is sewn quite nicely so that it's not really fraying or coming apart. If you get it caught on something sharp, they will cut. That is really where I would think the majority of the wear would come from, but these will last a long time. So I believe if you're looking to figure out if they are worth the money and all of the other factors work for you, I would say that they are durable, they are quite comfortable, and they're very flexible in terms of they can fit into a variety of environments. Plus they offer you the ability to wash them as well as buy something that is more sustainable. So pricing wise, the cheapest option is going to be the flats. These come in at $125. The points come in at $145, and the most expensive option is the loafer. You can get 20% off if you are a teacher for a limited time. That sale is running, and I will provide a discount code down below which gets you, I believe, $10 off your first order in case you are looking to buy something. I did buy all of mine pre-loved. That was definitely a gamble because I didn't have the option to return if they didn't fit, and they took me quite a while to find at a good price because honestly they really do hold their value on the pre-loved market, and it's really hard to find ones for much of a discount. The other thing I want to address in terms of comfort and in terms of a con, because otherwise for me, as I've said, the arch support is my really biggest con. My second biggest con is that the back edge can be a little bit sharp, but I know that that's an issue with a lot of different flats. I would say that they are quite flexible. They're definitely better than something super rigid, but after a while it will cut into you a little bit. If you buy some blister band-aids and you put them on and you wear them a couple times first and let them really break in and mold to your feet, then I would say you would probably be fine. To me, the flats dig in the most, and the second most would be the loafer, and the third would be the point. However, I have heard people say that the point can be the worst, and I think it's because I went up a full size and added the arch support. I think that's why that one doesn't cut me up quite as much as some of the other ones could. It definitely doesn't feel as sharp. I also think that these have been worn a little bit more, so they've become a little bit more flexible. When I had them in a smaller size, I definitely did feel like they were tighter and less comfortable on my Achilles. so it really did depend on sizing for me to get them to be as comfortable as possible. So now that I am commuting into New York City quite often, I find that these are the perfect shoe. I have walked many miles in them, each style. They've been really nice for that. I prefer a closed-toed shoe in the city most of the time, and I do think that I could wear them for so many different occasions. While I probably will still choose heels to teach in, it's nice that if I wore these as my commuter shoes and my feet were really hurting and I didn't want to switch into my heels, or I just forgot my heels one day or something like that, these would be a really great option, and they would be absolutely fine to teach in. My one other con comes in terms of the flexibility of the shoe. These are my lightest colored option, and as you can see in this video, all of the different styles fit your feet a little bit differently, and if you have really wide feet or you have a lot of bunions on your feet or something like that, you will be able to see that shape through the shoes. I really don't like seeing feet through shoes. That's just like a pet peeve of mine, so that is a little bit of an issue. However, you have to look really closely with these, and if you get them in a dark color, it's much less obvious. So I really don't notice it at all in my black ones, just a tiny bit in the gray points, and then the loafers have that the most, but they are the lightest color, and I don't know that if I got them in black, they would be quite as obvious. One other pro I want to quickly point out is the sweatability factor. So I know in a lot of shoes, people's feet sweat, and these are ones that you really don't wear socks with. I'm sure that you could, but you really don't need to. Yes, your feet will sweat a little bit in them because they are closed-toed shoes, and I find that that's the case with really any closed-toed flat, especially in the summer, and I've been wearing these all summer long so far, and it has been really hot. But the nice thing is they are quite breathable, and so you will get some ventilation just from the natural fabrics of the shoe, and if your feet do sweat in them, they dry out pretty quickly, so I found that they are still a really good option even in warm weather. So that's it for this video. I hope that helped and answered some of your questions. If you have any more, please do let me know. I am really loving these shoes, and I hope that you can find the perfect pair for you. They come in so many different styles and so many different colorways and patterns that they really can be a fun option to add into your closet, and you can do so by choosing a sustainable company, which I think is great. So thank you again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.